speak from that standpoint because since he came to this campus, after he has taken admission here, I know Krish since HCU. I was an old student of HCU and I was frequently visiting that place after Rohit Vemula's death, and I've met Krish there. And Krish was actively participating in all the protests and struggles in HCU following the death of Rohit Vemula, and I've met him there. And he was known to be a very ambitious person. His dream was to come to JNU and study here. So, and we all knew, all his friends in HCU, we all knew that like he was putting a lot of effort to come here, and he also needed help from every one of us. So, in the due course, I became his friend, and we also helped him in many ways to reach here. So I knew Krish since before he joined JNU, and after he joined JNU, I called up as many people as I knew in JNU to tell them that there is this person called Krish who's coming to JNU, who's taking admission in JNU, and that you should help him, you should take care of him. So I called up as many people as I could in JNU and I told them to help. So I shared this kind of relationship with Krish. He must have had like many friends in this campus. He must have made so many new friends in this campus. But whenever he needed any financial help, whenever he needed any emotional support, he came to me. And like me, he has many others across the country, like in many cities. He knows a lot of people who are constantly giving him emotional support. But the problem is, I do not know why he became alone here. Last 1 week, since March 2nd week, I met Krish on 4th. He called me in a very depressing tone, and he told me that he was feeling alone and he wanted to talk to someone. He was upset about something. And I came here at 8 o'clock in the night and I met him. He was very agitated, saying that he does not have any friends in this campus, that nobody is talking to him. But that was surprise to me because I knew that Krish is a very active person. He can make friends on his own, even though he lacked communication skills. Like, he has many friends in JNU. He knows more people than me in JNU. That was surprising to me. And I knew that something was wrong. Something was going on. He was bothered about something. And he asked me to stay for the whole night. And I stayed with him. And he shared so many things with me. He told me that he might be facing discrimination in his department. And I asked him, why after one whole semester are you saying this? Because you have been here for one whole semester and this is your second semester in JNU. So if you haven't faced any discrimination in the first, then why in the second semester? He said that after coming to JNU in the first semester, he almost forgot that he has a family because he found that the environment here is so speedy in the sense that everybody has an urgent work to do. Everybody is running around. There's so much going on around that he was always in a rush. He told me that he was always he felt that he was lagging behind. He wanted to keep up with others around him. So he was always engaged in finishing an assignment and submitting it on the deadline, and the exams are ahead in the next month, but he starts reading in this month itself, preparing this month itself, and he used to take additional effort to meet as many people as he could to get an idea about how to write an assignment, how to structure his argument, what should be his topic for a proposal, for thesis writing, so many things. He had to meet so many people to gather all this information, put together all the articles, all the books, and and ask people how to use referencing, so many things. So he felt that he was lagging behind and he wanted to put more effort. And in this process, he told me that he almost forgot that he had a family. And in second semester, he was a bit relaxed. And he was looking forward to make new friends in his classroom, in his department, so that although there are friends in this campus, but they are not in the department. There are many spread out in the campus. But for him, he needed friends in his department, in his classroom, because they are the people who would help him in his work, academic work, They would guide him. They would give him some hope as to, yes, we are there, we are going to help you. Right? Like, you can come to us. This kind of a hope he needed. But that was not happening. Because he clearly told me that whenever he entered into his reading room in his center, people looked at him differently. As if he's not supposed to be there. Like, why did this guy have to show up now? That kind of an expression of disgust. He felt that. And I told him, maybe no, Krish, no, maybe you're feeling very insecure about yourself. Maybe you should rethink. I don't know why people will target you specifically. There are so many Dalit students in this campus. There are so many people like you. I don't know why would people specifically target you. This is what I told him. But today, when he is dead, and I am sitting in front of the mortuary in Ames, none of his classmates had showed up. And I felt ashamed of myself that I didn't believe Krish when he said that he doesn't have friends in his class. No classmate had showed up at Ames. None of them bothered to come and see him, pay last visit to him. There's only one student who showed up from his class, and that is a Dalit student. This is the situation. This is the humiliation that he faced. This is the kind of discrimination. And now this is not a discrimination inflicted upon him by one particular individual or one particular mechanism. This is an institutional discrimination. This is what I feel. This is how institutional discrimination works. Because anyone who is not part of this institutional setup or cannot adapt themselves to be part of this institutional setup is automatically weeded out with the process of asocialization. Right? You don't socialize with this person. You just keep him at a distance so that person feels alone, isolated, broken, depressed, and you bring in a lot of psychological terms and say that he was depressed, he had some personal issues. What kind of personal issues? He shared a lot of things with me. He never said that he has any personal issues. I don't know. I have seen at least 3 suicides in my friends. Among the people who I know, when I was in HCU, I was there when Sendil Kumar died. And I was there when Pulyala Raju had committed suicide. And although I was out of HCU when Rohit Vemula had died, I knew Rohit Vemula personally. And I have a lot of common friends. And I know what was going on. And one thing, if I had learned anything about suicides, I definitely know that a suicide is not a result of any one single reason. There are many reasons. He gave me a few reasons. There might be other reasons which he didn't give me. And I would like to know, one thing that we never get in any suicide case is a closure. We never know what triggered this decision in a person's mind. We will never get to know that because the person is no more. And that is what is going on right now. I'm unable to think anything beyond Krish because I do not know, despite him sharing a lot of things with me, despite him telling me a number of times that he doesn't have friends, that he's feeling isolated, that he feels that he's alone in his campus and he's unable to make new friends. These reasons are not enough for the department to believe that, he must have felt discriminated. Now they are saying that they're attacking his character, saying that he had some personal issues. We don't have anything to do with it. If there are any personal issues, we would like to know. Please set up an independent inquiry committee and please let us know what was going on. If there is no discrimination, then what caused this murder? I would like to know. His parents would like to know. All of us would like to know. See, we can give Dalit discourse here and Marxist discourse here. We can talk about politics for day long. But why today we have gathered here because one of our friend has died. And I think everybody should talk about that first. And we should talk about how we might have inflicted any discrimination upon him. Whenever he must have come to a lot of people for help. How much time did we take to respond to his call for help? How many times we have shared a cup of tea with him in the canteen? How many times we have asked him what was going on in his life? How was he feeling in jail? How is his academic activity going on? How is he? Is he happy? Is he sad? How many times do we ask these things to our friends, our classmates? Isn't this discrimination? I don't know. If this is not discrimination, then what is? We invite a lot of people into our homes. We eat with them, we drink with them, we share a cup of tea, crack jokes, talk a lot of things. But we should reflect upon ourselves and think, who are these people who are our friends? What caste do they come from? What class do they come from? And why do I end up having friends who are from a particular class and caste? Why not others? Why am I like this? And has any lower caste person come to me, tried to make friendship with me, tried to socialize with me, and have I given that person enough space to, interact? Why am I unable to do so? These things, how can we address these things? He told me that he was facing a problem regarding choosing a supervisor. Now a lot of people are saying that there's nothing wrong about what happened in the department regarding supervisor. It's just a technical this thing, and it could have been solved. Yes, it could have been solved, but this tension was playing out on his mind. How can we deny that? He felt insecure that all of his classmates have supervisors and I don't have a supervisor. I had one and now I don't have one. That's because of my stupidity. He was feeling that. And I told him, Krish, why didn't you talk to me before you went and spoke to another supervisor regarding change of supervisor? You should always take your supervisor's opinion first. If you're not used to this academic environment, you should have taken my opinion or somebody else's opinion. This is what I told him. I did not immediately tell him that, your department is doing this on purpose. No, I didn't. Nobody would say that. But, one has to understand that every student is different, comes from a different place, different culture, different regions. So there is this difference. And one has to be patient enough to understand what the student is going through, what is there on his mind, whether he or she is acclimatized to this kind of environment earlier or not. We have to keep all these things in mind while we interact with them. And when I was telling these things to some person the other day at the mortuary, that person said, so basically we have to orient these people towards the academic environment. I said, orient who? Should we orient Dalits to to civilize themselves? Should we make them learn how to interact with upper caste people? Or should upper caste people orient themselves or learn how to interact with Dalits? Who needs this orientation here? Huh? We are ready to orient ourselves to academic way of producing knowledge, yes. Why should we orient ourselves to how to talk to you? Is my way of talking wrong? And your way of talking is right? Who are you to decide that? How is my way of talking offensive? And how is your way of talking sane, civil, modern, whatever it is? Why should we look at academic institutions as some kind of sacred places? Why do we attach this sacredness to academic institutes? Why do we attach some kind of a sacred sanctity to how an academic discussion should take place? We should not be offensive, yes, but we can speak our minds. We need that freedom. And people who lack these things, we have to understand where they're coming from. Krish, he comes from a place who married an upper caste woman and he was killed on the road in a junction where a lot of people were watching by those upper caste people, saying that he's married to an upper caste woman and he's not allowed to do so. He comes from that place. So any modern civil values that you're trying to impose on him would obviously trigger these insecurities of him being a Dalit. He comes from this place where Dalits are getting killed for touching an upper caste woman, seeing an upper caste woman. You cannot. These things will affect him. One should know that. But we don't care about these things. And that is why he is dead today. That is why this is an institutional murder. Center should accept the shame, come forward and apologize. And the VC should constitute an independent inquiry committee and probe all these things. We need answers for his death. I want a closure this time. I can't sleep.